Well, good morning and good afternoon, wherever you may be. Welcome to Zyxel's Tech Talk. My name is Tri Nguyen. I'm the marketing development manager here at Zyxel North America. Glad to have you here this afternoon or this morning to join me in talking about security services in September. And so we're going to cover just a deep dive in kind of the different security services that we have and what they do and how they can be beneficial to your customers while providing a cybersecurity stance that is protective of your customers and maybe for even your business. And so I like for these events to be interactive. So if you'd like to ask any questions during this webinar, please feel free to use the Q&A section and ask me those questions, and I'll try to answer them in line. And so let's jump right in. We just have a few slides today, so hopefully it'll go fairly quickly and get you on your way as well. So we are Zyxel Networks. We're made up over 650 passionate employees serving 150 markets. We've been in business for over 35 years now, with 100 million devices making connections, and over 1 million businesses use our solutions today. We are an award-winning brand as well, recognized internationally. We are a channel friendly customer or vendor who we work through the channel. So anyone who's a partner who resells our products, you have account managers, David, Andy, and Jacob, that service the entire North America area. So depending on where you're at, they're the people that you contact for pre-sales, post-sales, getting systems engineers online, working through application scenarios with your customers in order to find out what is best for them. So definitely leverage us, leverage the team here to get what you need in terms of the right product mix for your customers. So cybersecurity is a huge aspect, obviously, why you even care about security things in the network. Uh, Global cybercrime is expected to reach 10.5 trillion annually starting in 2025. So this whole year, according to Cybersecurity Ventures, and it's up from 3 trillion. So quite a huge jump since the last decade. 200% increase in cyber attacks on a global scale. Especially due to, I think, the COVID-19 pandemic, where people are now working from home. There's more things that are potentially opened up from a security standpoint. That's at home. That's maybe not the same security posture that you have in the office. And so that extends and creates an issue potentially from those people who are working from home. They might not have the same levels of security. So how do you also secure the remote workforce? So I did do a webinar recently as well, if you want to check back at some of that content on how to secure the remote workforce. It's kind of a leverage of the same kind of similar content, but focused on how do you do that with the remote working employees, et cetera. So how do you provide that kind of service to your end users? So I encourage you to take a look at that webinar and see how that can help as well. But today we're going to focus more on the individual kind of functions as well of the firewall and how that can help. Cybersecurity Ventures also estimates that there will be 30 billion connected devices this year, many of which are potentially vulnerable to attacks because of their design. So you have different types of attacks. Because there's all sorts of attacks, you have to have protections against it. So no longer do you have just a single point of protection per se in terms of just one action. There's multiple ways that can provide a threat vector to your customers or to your network from a networking perspective there. Things like ransomware attacks, denial of service attacks to the connectivity or to the devices that are there, phishing and social engineering attacks. So making content and things that are seemingly applicable to the business and causing them to go through or maybe go to places that are insecure. Or targeting businesses specifically like in the healthcare, because then they can get user data, patient data, data breaches that expose the company information or sensitive information for that company as well. And then so there's also a cybersecurity skill gap within this whole ecosystem. Maybe the IT folk are at the businesses themselves require some extra training, or a partner like yourself who's better versed in all those different types of attacks and how to mitigate them at the same time. So being able to come in alongside some of those IT managers or sometime and provide them the additional resources that they need in order to make sure that their network is up to par. The consequences of not having a good security posture is downtime or financial loss because of downtime, especially with ransomware. The average downtime for ransomware attacks is 21 days, especially if there's no backups there. They have to rebuild systems. They have to rebuild multiple devices because it's spread amongst the entire network per se. And on top of that, if your company goes down because of a ransomware attack, there could be damage to the reputation of that business. So making sure that this is up to speed and up to a level to protect the data and the company's operation, kind of falls, I think, into professionals like yourself, and then vendors like Zyxel, who provide these kinds of solutions. There are organizations that are also investing in cybersecurity to protect not only the data, but also the reputation and trust. So you're paying for these companies as well, kind of like yourself, to provide this level of security and also provide them a ability to maintain their data and their reputation in case of something going wrong. Thank you, Jose. Yeah, I did notice that as well. A little typo there. What is the security? What is network security hardware? They're physical devices within the network to protect the integrity of the network. So you have firewalls, you have intrusion detection systems. These could be individual pieces depending on how your application is, what kind of solutions you're delivering. They could be unified threat management appliances, which kind of encompasses a larger group of services per se, and then maybe network access control devices. So they all can play individually, do a very specific tasks, or they can be like a unified threat management that does kind of all of these things. They are a firewall, they are an IDS, IPS, they are a UTM appliance, and as well as control the different types of devices and solutions or applications that are there as well. So the role of the security hardware is to detect malware, detect anomalies, be able to notify and maybe even take action to block or to allow, right? Becomes the front man on the traffic that is going in and out of your office space. It helps to segment the networks as well to contain the threats so that you may have a guest network access network where if somebody on the guest network gets infected or has some sort of issue from a security standpoint, they are isolated from the private side. Being able to use this hardware to monitor, to log, and to be able to audit this in potential suspicious activity, being able to look at behaviors over time as well is an important piece of trying to find if there is some sort of a security hole there, and then enforce those security policies that you have in your business in real time. So if you have policies that say you can't go to these kinds of websites, you can't watch YouTube videos during work hours, things like that, that from a corporate policy and risk management standpoint, you've created a policy that says these are the do's and don'ts. Being able to use the hardware to enforce those, or at least to be able to monitor and then further enforce, is imperative to have that kind of full solution. So it acts as the first defense against any kind of cyber attack. And so again, many different ways that it can attack, many different types of threats that are out there. So how do we do that? And just as a kind of a side note, just from a security standpoint and why Zyxel takes security and vulnerabilities and things like that very seriously. So every product may have some sort of vulnerability or some sort of functionality that needs patching. And so the CNA, the CVE numbering authority, which is what the industry accepts as reporting of these kinds of vulnerabilities and things like that. Zyxel is one of the authorized numbering authorities. So we're authorized to provide a CVE number. We then report that to the public, provide the patches that are required, or the mitigation process, to deal with those kinds of scenarios or situations. And so we are actually one of the only networking companies in the world that are that have both acceptance levels for both the CVSS 3.1 and CWE as well. So we get to help with the information, providing information to other partners, to customers, to end users, about anything that is a vulnerability in our products. And so we stand by that to making sure that we enact fixes very quickly and be able to provide that information to the public to help mitigate any of that. So our security solutions are there. We use AI in a lot of the space there to constantly evolve. It does a lot of the work through partners and companies that we've partnered with to provide these kinds of security solutions. And it's, of course, it's evolving all the time. There are new threats, new types of threats. It may be protocols, it may be applications that are there. So we provide a flexible way for it to constantly evolve, but then also update within your products itself so that it can help to mitigate these threats even without your hands-on uh, needing to do any kind of manual upgrade per se. Uh, Connecting remote workplaces, like I mentioned earlier, with the remote work from home scenario, they how do you do that to make sure that things are encrypted, make sure that the security policies, while they are VPN through back from a home office to the business, is also secured in a way that is acceptable to your policies. So you can offer these kinds of services to your partners or to your customers, that you as a partner of Zyxel get the support on how to create these encrypted tunnels and do it in a way that is of best practice from a security standpoint. So we offer services like site-to-site VPN, hub and spoke, a client, through different methods there, SSL, SSA, IPsec VPN, site-to-device kind of scenarios there as well as what we call secure Wi-Fi. So dropping in an access point in a remote office or a home office, and it being able to create this VPN tunnel, quote unquote, encrypted tunnel back to the office to give you the same office experience as you would as if you were sitting in the office physically. There's centralized provisioning and synchronization within the whole solution as well. So VPN centralizing sites, centralizing your security policies, synchronizing the deployments. You can share, clone, those kinds of things within a certain organization for different sites. If you have one customer that has multiple sites, and being able to provide the same authorizations, the same configurations and synchronizations across those different sites there. Within the device itself, from a cloud and on-prem perspective, remember that the H series, which is our latest security firewall series, has what we call Smart Sync. So it is, in essence, there is only one configuration. Whether you decide to configure things on the device itself or you use it within the Nebula cloud, this information is now it syncs to a single configuration. So you get to decide how you want to do it. You can make a change on the on-prem mode, and then it will be reflected within the cloud. Or if there's a feature, just so you know, if there is a advanced feature that you can only see within the on-prem GUI at the moment, you can configure it. And the configuration, since it is the same, it still is synced and saved within the cloud. Just on the Nebula side, it might not have that configuration checkbox per se uh, there yet. And if it is one of those features where they're planning to put it, then you'll see it in the future. But there are some, functionalities where they may be more advanced, where they just may sit on the on-prem because it's maybe a one-time on the initial, you just set it and then you forget it. And then you never need to see that really ever again, per se. So it just helps to simplify the interface. But again, if you do have a feature that you do feel that you do use more so on a daily basis, that you need to see it within the cloud on the cloud side and not just on the prem, let us know, because we're working through that and prioritizing those kinds of features and functions to make sure that it's there. Our dream and our ultimate goal is to get 100% on-prem is what is 100% on Nebula as well, right? So that it's the same config. We just have to put um, the text or update the interface to facilitate for that configuration to be configured. But rest assured, the feature is available and working for those models that have those features and functions already. So I mentioned earlier that we use different types of security experts to provide these services, these partners. Some of them you may know, like Trellix was formerly McAfee. That provides our web filtering. Athena Cloud provides us the IDS, IPS, IDP solutions there. Malwares like Bitdefender, which you've heard of. WebRoot provides us with the IP reputation. So again, utilizing a lot of these best-in-class security experts to provide it into a single solution, because you're having to deal with all the different threats, right? Just not just a single piece. So you're not just worried about App Patrol or an IP reputation, but you have to look at it from a holistic, because if you only have one piece doing one function, you need something else to do the other functions to give you that protection, the overall protection you need to get a full kind of UTM protection, unified threat management. So how do you do that is with a unified group of services that provide you that threat management. So what we provide in our firewalls is a bunch of different types of kind of software licenses, licenses that add on or give you the update of the signatures of the products that are there. So Gold Pack is probably the one that is that you want to consider the most. It comes in our USG Flex H series, and the Gold Pack basically is everything you would need. All of the sandboxing, IP reputation, DNS reputation, content filtering, anti-spam, anti-phishing, application control. So everything from that UTM perspective that I showed in those partners protection base there is offered in this Gold Pack license. It's a yearly license that you subscribe within the firewall. For each model, there's a different, obviously a different license at a different price point that is that's relative to those products. And from there, you get all that functionality within the device itself and in the cloud. So you want to be able to activate. Most of our products will come with the bundled version, where it does come with the whole Gold Pack for 1 year included, and then you just have to worry about the renewals year to year. As a side note, I do have a slide on this too, but I just want to re-emphasize ahead of time that our USGH series models, so let me get out my laser pen pointer here. The H series models, if you buy the hardware only SKU, then it comes with entry defense. And I'll have a slide that shows you the kind of the breakdown between the services that are there. It's an entry level, I would say, entry defense pack. It provides you some essential protections like IP reputation, and also gives you access to the Zyxel security cloud and the reporting tools in the cloud as well to help you with it. So we believe that you shouldn't have just a firewall with no protection on there. And so we give you something even on the hardware only SKU. So now you'll see the descriptions on it's hardware only that includes that entry defense solution. So here's that slide that I mentioned. So you can see a lot more functionality and things that are blocking in the gold security versus the entry defense pack. But it is better than nothing. So we're giving it to you for free within that entry bundle. If your customer just wants that reputation filtering and that's all they may have something else that's doing it, you could still continue that defense pack bundle. And I think it's a set price no matter which model you choose, about a $50 street price. So it's very affordable, it gives you some at least protection, but ultimately most MSPs and most anybody who is dealing with cybersecurity or cybersecurity insurance is looking at this level of protection, because then it provides you a full networking suite. So let's dive into a little bit, and I'm just going to go through this this slide to kind of describe. Maybe you don't know exactly what some of these functions do or how they benefit you or your customers. So that's, this is really talking about how licensing is your best route, because it then gives you that full protection that I think most businesses will need from a cybersecurity standpoint. Every firewall that we have offers you at least network address translation. So being able to hide your IPs from the public IP space, because you have a private IP, so it translates that, so it hides that a bit. Makes it a little harder for you to get attacked specifically onto a specific device unless they're on the inside. That's where stateful packet inspection helps too, because it manages and looks at the packets that are coming through, making sure that it's the source that it's coming from is not a different source. So you're trying to inject something in there, or somebody's trying to hijack maybe a connection or a session in order to get in or out, right? So It does that packet inspection there. It also provides you, even on the hardware only type products, blocking malicious attacks on an IP address just by trying to flood it. So they usually call it a denial of service attack. So they'll attack different ports to try to, overload the firewall, things like that to try to bring it down. Or, something that we've remembered before. I haven't heard this in a while, the ping of death, right? So they're just pinging the device, a zillion times a second to try to make sure that makes the firewall respond to everything so much that uh, it goes down. Uh, so we have mitigation aspects of that to block against it, even just to drop the packet, just ignore it altogether and just let it roll off there and not have to deal with the situation, to deal with those kinds of attacks. It also includes VPN, so the encryption that I mentioned before, to connect location to location, home office to main office, or to remote user to the main office. That's where VPN comes into play. And the benefit of VPN is we also do the site to site. So you can have an entire office VPN to another office. You don't necessarily need to put VPN clients on every device. You can create policies within that VPN tunnel and firewall rules that say, hey, only these devices can go through the VPN, only these kinds of protocols, services, applications, etc., can go through the VPN. So you can choose those kinds of things again to mitigate, what passes through. Everything else can then go out the internet connection, just out to the public internet versus traversing the VPN tunnel. You could do a full tunnel if you'd like and just send everything through there. Maybe in some scenarios you do have that application where you want everything to go back to the main office and then be scanned there, or do some further, maybe cloud-based security analysis on it. So that, again, it depends on how you're trying to use the VPN system there. The anti-malware, antivirus is what will protect you against things like ransomware and viruses. So you have antivirus software on your endpoint devices. So this provides you now a gateway that is constantly updating as well. So just so you know, it is like a signature based, and there's also a scan in the cloud. So it's a mix, it's a hybrid typically, where it will do a cloud scan as well as a um, um, local scan. So the cloud scan obviously gives them access to a lot bigger signature base versus the on-prem signature. The memory is limited. So it does like keep track of, let's say, the latest 600,000 malware signatures there, and it constantly like evolves, right? As other threats become low threats, they move out of it, and then higher priority threats or higher levels of threats are pushed into the signature. So it's constantly evolving and updating to make sure that it's protecting at least from the latest and greatest as possible. Buying time for maybe the local devices. So people always ask me, if you have this anti-malware, antivirus solution on the firewall, do I still need it in my laptop? And the answer is yes, you still need it in your customer's laptop, because the firewall can't go into your operating system and go into that file disk, and remove the virus, or, inoculate or isolate that or delete it, right? So you still need protection. And what the gateway antivirus solution provides you is now more of that 0-day threat model. So if some virus came out, just was noticed in the world now, within the next either minutes or hours, there will be a signature that is now available and is communicated. So there is a lag time between, how often you can set for your virus. Most customers will set it for a day, check daily, in order to get those like threats updated in the signatures. But I would probably say most endpoint security laptops, it's always on like a Wednesday that they check. So like once a week, because it's only being updated, or checked for updates that in that period of time. So what can happen is now you have both. This will check daily. It can block against the latest threats. Maybe those signatures don't get updated to the laptop side on the client end side until a few days later. At least then the firewall is now offering a level of protection against it. Any kind of those kinds of malware, viruses, and files that are trying to come through a certain angle there will get denied and blocked. So does give you that benefit. But number one, now that it's in the news a lot, ransomware, if they are, worried about that, or if they've got hit, ransomed and are looking for a solution, then, you know, the anti-malware, antivirus solution is what you need. The other, I think, big selling solution from a security standpoint is the content filtering, web filtering. We get a lot of calls from partners and customers to say, "Hey, my employees are going to these kinds of web pages. They're going to these social media sites that we don't want them to go to, or they're going to, inappropriate sites or gambling sites or whatever it is, and we want to be able to block them." So we're able to use web filtering and content filtering both on the standard DNS as well as the encrypted DNS functions to block those kinds of sites, and then be able to report, because you might want to know my employees are going to these kinds of web pages, and to be able to deal with the situation, or mitigate that. So that becomes an easy sell as well for customers. Even if you're dealing with like schools or public settings where they don't want people to use the connection for those kinds of activities, then you can use this functionality to block. Again, the gold license gives you everything that we talk about here. Sandboxing is important because it does provide you 0-day threat protection. So if something is unknown, it's sent into the sandbox. The sandbox AI then tries to execute that, tries to see what it does when it gets unzipped or when it gets executed or opened up, that file, and then be able to see, is it a threat or is it not? And then create signatures or create information that is then shared to the global database, which then becomes a signature and then passed on to any device, whether it be Zyxel or any one of the other any vendors who are using that kind of solution. But Zyxel products that use this signature base and then become protected from it. So it gives you that ability for further protection. Intrusion detection and prevention. This is something that is a requirement within kind of the HIPAA requirements there. Be able to do deep packet inspection to make sure that there are no attacks that are happening from an intrusion perspective. So if you are doing kind of in that healthcare market, you'll need, very much so this piece to satisfy those kinds of requirements there. Application patrol is very important for, I would say, identifying different types of applications by their application rather than like a port or by a packet. Actually, it is a packet because it is looking at the packet headers itself at the layer 7 level and saying, hey, this looks like a BitTorrent software. So based on rules and policies that you have set, and it's set for block, then it will automatically block that packet. So number one, another inquiry I always get is, our office or our hotel or our school, we're getting a cease and desist notice from the ISP because some media company is sending them a notice saying that, hey, someone has downloaded from their honeypot server a illegal movie or illegal music, and are asking the ISP to shut it down. And so the ISP is now sending it to you because it's coming from your customer's IP or the hotel that customer's IP is at, and saying you need to stop, figure out a way to stop it, or else we're shutting you down. We're shutting down your internet. So you can imagine the urgency from a hotel's perspective. The owner is like, I don't know what to do. If the MSP has no tools like this in their repertoire, then they don't know what to do either. So that is the number one thing for application patrol, is to be able to see, hey, people are using BitTorrent, they're going to these kinds of sites. So a combination of the web filtering, the application patrol, you can then block, those kinds of activities. You can even block, like Tor sites or those kinds of client-based downloading tools and VPNing, to try to mitigate that as well. So you can disable a lot of that kind of functionality within that app patrol. But it also could be used for good. So rather than blocking bad things, the application patrol can help identify things like, oh, hey, we are using this kind of application. And if it's recognizable, let's say like Office 365, and it's in the cloud, we can actually use that policy to prioritize it to make sure that it doesn't get interrupted by normal data consumption. So if somebody's downloading a file, but you want to be able to make sure that your Office 365 functionality is working well, you can say, hey, any of those applications, we can give them priority. So by that application level, you can have further control. Or maybe you might say, hey, if you guys use we will allow for you to watch Netflix before and after office hours. But during office hours, using App Patrol, we can then say, sorry, it's going to be blocked. Or you can use it to throttle. So you might say, hey, fine, we let you use some sort of downloading tool, but we will then cap it, or we can bandwidth control it based on the application as well. So again, a lot of those kind of neat application features that you could add as part of your services and be flexible in what you can provide to your customers. The reputation filter, it helps you to block botnet infections. Whenever it looks at IP addressing, if it's a IP space or potentially a server that has been marked as potential threats or malware. And we've had this happen before where even update servers of software had been compromised and had been marked as almost like a bad IP address per se. And when that software needed to be updated, it would cause a failure. It would just say cannot connect or something like that. So the IP reputation filter there is protecting them from going to a bad server or a redirected bad server and downloading potentially viruses or not the update that they intend to get. And so there is that kind of threat protection that's involved and is allowed within there too. And then also IP reputation. So if a connection from inside all of a sudden is trying to make a weird communication connection to a country that is, not acceptable or potentially is threat or is marked as a threat, or that server is, it can also be marked and again protect you from that as well. Uh, Maybe a little less important today because we do have a lot of email servers today that provide a very high level of email spam protection. But what this also offers is a phishing protection as well. So we get a lot of phishing emails, even at our company, because they know that we are part of a sales organization or part of uh, the AR department or things like that. So we'll get invoices and orders that will say, classic phishing is, we have an order, it needs to be rushed today. Here's the PDF, and it comes from a weird address, we don't recognize it, and it's sent to not directly to us, but to like our generic, sales at, Zyxel.com or something like that. That's an immediate red flag. And of course, we're trained on those kinds of things. But what helps as well is they can be earmarked and it can pass through the device, which then can scan for that content and then be able to make judgments and at least identify them. So you can either identify them because if you have a false positive, you might not want to just delete the email. So you can choose, again, how you want to do the policies there. If it just tags it and puts a little description at the top in the title, it can update those subjects titles there. That way you can see those kinds of things very quickly or filter them into a certain box. Secu Reporter is our cloud-based security analysis system and reporting tool. It gives you a 30-day log retention on that and be able to report against things. You can then customize your services, customize like the reporting that goes out every month that can showcase what is being used by those customers, right? What websites are they going to? How much bandwidth they're using? What are the threats that are being blocked in that month? How many ransomware, malicious files did we block? Those are all things that you can sell to your customer to convince them and to justify, what you're charging them for this kind of managed service, right? So not necessarily charge them for the report, but to show, the benefits of maintaining this kind of security functionality in these products, and showing something tangible. You can showcase, again, what websites like your end users or your clients are going to, or your employees are going to, in order to make decisions from a security standpoint. And then it also includes, when you do buy the whole bundle, the Nebula Professional pack. So the Pro pack comes bundled with that, and it includes a 1 year cloud license as well. So again, you can manage it in the prem on the device itself or within the cloud, and it will be ultimately synced together. So from the cybersecurity side, we did offer or did introduce a new line of kind of the lower entry level small office firewall that includes full UTM. So you may be familiar with the USG Flex 50 series, and the previous generation, the USG Flex 50, um, did not have a full UTM function. It had content filtering, it had anti-spam. So it was more of like that, kind of like your essential pack per se for security. But we understood that small offices also need, in a small space, but full UTM protection. So this new generation of USG Flex, the USG Flex H and the HP comes with 30 watts of PoE power. So you can power up a voice over IP phone or an access point to give this whole solution Wi-Fi. You may have this device being, in the space in a cupboard where your internet connection comes in, but then you need to but that space is not really good for Wi-Fi. So you can extend now to an access point using the PoE injector on the device itself, bring it out to the prem that needs actually the Wi-Fi coverage. It provides you then enhanced UTM, high performance, up to 2 gigabits of SPI firewall on that. And it's cloud managed within the Nebula platform. And then our flagship model, our USG Flex 700H, it's our CRN award winner of 2024. It provides you then up to 4 gigabits of UTM, 15 gigabits of SPI firewall, integrated PoE ports, as well as the cybersecurity functions that I mentioned earlier, and that cloud sync functionality and manageable in the cloud. And then all these solutions are part of that AI cybersecurity intelligence with the Secu Reporter function. We also released what we call Secu Pilot. It's an AI-powered insight tool within the system, so it can help you analyze and provide you information in further potential mitigation for any threats that are showing up within your networks there. So you can easily monitor, identify those threats. You can identify those abnormal user behaviors over time, create those customized reports with your logo in it as well, and choose which kind of widgets you want to include within those reports. And it's tied in with our Nebula cloud platform. So this is kind of the spread, the whole space offerings from the 50H, you have the 100H. So the HP is just the PoE models. So you'll see the 100H and the 100HP, the 200H and the 200HP. But when you get to the 500Hs and the 700Hs, they come with PoE as well already built in. So there's no HP version or HP model. So just know that as a little caveat there. But the 700 does give you 2.5 gig ports and a 10 gig port. If you're looking for maybe a 2.5 gig full real throughput, you probably would need to go to this one. So the 700H offers a 4 gig. So, maybe you might be asking why are you saying that you need the 700 for a 2.5 gig internet connection when it does 4 gigs? Well, because the 4 gigs in itself is the max theoretical throughput. We pump it through multi-sessions, multiple connections, and then at the largest packet size, we're trying to find what is the max. And so the industry pushes that through, and then it gives you 4 gigs. Real internet traffic is different sizes. So you may have, voice packets that are like 60, kilobits kilobits per second or something like that. Or you have small packets and large packets. And so you have to take this number, and my rule of thumb typically is about 50 to 60% of this number is maybe the truth, real life iMix number of traffic, if different types of traffic as you're passing it through on a day-to-day basis. So this is why I would say this is 2.5 gig capable or recommended. This 500H would be for a 1.5 to 2 gig connection internet WAN. 200H is ideal then for a 1 gig internet WAN connection. But you can see even on the lowest end, the 50H can then do full UTM at 300 to 400 megabits per second. So that's where maybe a lot of your customers might fit in this space here. So this is just another graphic, just a nicer, I guess, looking a view of the same models there with some of the highlighted functions and throughputs there. So again, from the 50 to the 100, it's made to connect small offices, work offices for the teleworker from home. We have some additional models here like the 60AX that you can also throw into the mix that gives you even a more cost-effective, but this one doesn't have the full UTM functionality. So this is the entry level UTM. This is like if you need security, but not full UTM, then you can utilize that type of product in that price point. It's made to connect branch offices to different head offices. You can use it for connecting branch locations, so expanding into like the enterprise application with multiple sites, with multiple locations that are going to a central office. Or you can do it as a kind of a hub spoke, or then this can be then a server, which then this location can talk to this location through the main location, right? So you can make the tunnels work in that direction as well, and connecting both branch offices, etc. So we work in the channel. So when you do sign up to our partner program, we offer you when you sign up to be in silver, and so you get these discounts. You get a major discount here, but we want you to get to gold. Just work with us. All you need is then 12K in a 6-month time frame. So that's 2K a month of Zyxel products on average in that period, and you'll be able to get to gold status. We have our discounts and such loaded all at D&H, Ingram, TD SYNNEX, Wave, Target, and Blue Star. And just a word of advice as well. If you look at your pricing on these distributors and you find it seems a little bit off, and you hadn't purchased anything from them in a while, then please reach out to us, reach out to your sales account manager to take a look at it. Because sometimes what will happen is if you don't buy from them in a long while, your discounts may basically may fall off. And so they just need to get reloaded back in. So we just have to check box that, hey, you're still active with us. So you can get your discounts through their portals. So if you'd like to check out some of the latest promos or have a connection with us at Zyxel, you can reach out on LinkedIn, Zyxel-US-channel, or on YouTube to watch this video later on, or any of our previous videos and webinars. Go to youtube.com/Zyxel America channel. And if you want to connect with me, again, my name is Try. Just on LinkedIn, you can search for Zyxel Try. So ZYXEL space TRI, and you should be able to find a picture of me and send me a connect request. I'd love to connect with you and see how we can help you. So on the last slide here, if you have any questions, this is your time. If you'd like to ask any questions further, if not, and you'd like to just sit around and wait to see if there is any questions, please feel free. Or if you do have questions, maybe later on, you can email me. It's try@zyxel.com. So TRI@zyxel.com. So I appreciate for those who are potentially dropping off. Thank you for joining. Thank you for spending this afternoon with me. I do have to jump off sooner than usual, just to make an appointment. And so if there's no other questions at this moment, I'd just say thank you very much again for spending the time with me this afternoon, and hope you have a great rest of your day. Until next time, we'll see you.